A nation founded on faith. Now we're divided. We're not as holy as we used to be, but truth still rocks. Light still leads. This is Holy Sorta.
Imagine it's Game 7 of the World Series. The stadium is electric. The crowd is buzzing. The anthem fades, and right before the first pitch, someone fires the entire umpiring crew. They don't cancel the game. They don't change the rules. They simply remove the people responsible for interpreting those rules. Half the country cheers. The other half panics, and suddenly everyone is asking the same question. Would you trust the outcome more or less? That's essentially what happened this week when President Donald J. Trump removed the remaining commissioners of the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, the EAC, an agency Congress created after the disputed 2000 election to help states improve election administration. Tonight, this episode isn't about defending Trump, and it isn't about attacking Trump either. It's about something bigger, much bigger. Independent voters are asking, who watches the referees? The EAC was created after Bush versus Gore in 2000. That was a moment when America nearly tore itself apart over hanging chads and recounts. Congress built the EAC to help states modernize elections. It certifies voting systems, distributes election security grants, develops voluntary voting guidelines, and collects nationwide election data. But here's the key. The EAC does not run elections. States run elections. And the EAC still exists. It's just that those commissioners were removed, and one resigned. President Trump removed the remaining commissioners after the Supreme Court expanded presidential removal authority over certain independent agencies. The EAC was one of them. Critics say this undermines an independent election body. Supporters say presidents should control executive agencies and improve accountability. So here's the question for independent voters. If you already distrust both political parties, should you also distrust the institutions those parties control? History has receipts. In 1800, Jefferson versus Adams pushed the young republic to the brink. People genuinely wondered whether democracy would survive. In 1876, Hayes versus Tilden produced competing electoral votes from multiple states. Congress had to create a special commission just to settle it. In 2000, Bush versus Gore showed how fragile trust becomes when the margin is razor thin. The EAC exists because of that crisis. History teaches us something uncomfortable. Every generation believes their election crisis is unprecedented. Every generation is typically wrong. Human beings don't merely want fair elections. We want elections our side wins. That's a very different thing. Confirmation bias, tribalism, motivated reasoning, status quo bias, social identity. We're not just political creatures, we're psychological ones. And that psychology shapes how we interpret every controversy, every headline, every decision. Scripture doesn't shy away from this. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 1 states, "The Lord detests dishonest scales." Justice matters, not just outcomes. Micah chapter 6, verse 8 calls us to justice, mercy, and humility. And secular thinkers, they agree. From James Madison to modern constitutional scholars, the argument is simple. People are fallible. Power must be checked. Independent agencies were designed to provide expertise insulated from day-to-day politics. Critics argue they can become unaccountable if too insulated. Supporters argue they protect the system from partisan swings. Both sides raise legitimate concerns. Here's the question, though, almost nobody is asking. If President Trump can remove these commissioners, could the next Democratic president do the same? Well, of course, the answer is yes. Then maybe this isn't about Donald Trump at all. Maybe it's about how much power we want any president to have over the institutions that oversee elections. That's the question independent voters care about, not the partisan fight, the structural one. Independent voters now make up roughly 45% of American adults. That's not a political side note, that's a rising force. Maybe that's exactly why questions like this matter. Not because they're about Trump, not because they're about Democrats, but because they're about whether real Americans can still trust the system when their own side loses. And that, more than any election, is the real test of a republic. This is Holy Sorta. I'm Dr. Hayes. Question everything. Grow intentionally. Truth still rocks and light still leads. Sometimes faith ain't pretty, and neither are politics. Thanks for watching. Be good.